Okay, so what happened here was the timing was a little off for me. So this is the original one on the right here. So this is where we want it to start. That's where the sound wave kind of starts. If you zoom in, you can kind of see this is a remnant from the last part of it. So I just kind of dragged it over and cut that out. You can also go into the audio editor and do it in zero crossing. This is just kind of a scuffed way to do it. And then this is the one I edited, and you can see now it kind of like syncs at the start. And then for this one right here, the second part that'll come after, there's kind of a difficult thing that's happening here. So I need it to start on this line right here. That's where the measure starts. That's where, I can't remember if that's the kick or the snare or it's something. But it won't let me actually like sync it exactly there. And that's because it's locked onto these grid lines here. So you gotta go up that little thing and then snap. So it's snapped to a half step. So each of these things is a half step in its mind. If you change it to a fourth step, it gives another line there, and then it syncs to that. But we want none. That way we can just move it exactly where we want to go to. And then just always kind of remember to like turn it back on. It's because otherwise like you won't even realize you're like moving stuff. It's really easy to just like miss things. So definitely that's just like a good check to have into it. Okay, so there's some issues with that. One, the bass is too loud. So if we go back to the pattern where everything is, and we just go up, scroll up two, so we bring it to the second mixer. I don't even know if you saw that, it might have been cropped out. But it's in the second mixer, and then we can bring the volume down. And then that should kind of make it just sound a little better. And then there's also stuff in here. You should just kind of look this up. I don't want to teach all this stuff, but what you would probably do is bring in like a equalizer. It's called EQ. Fruity Parametric EQ2 is the easiest one, and then you're just gonna bring down the bass, and then it's not as kind of poignant, or it won't even want to play. What the fuck? Oh, because it's all the way out here. Alright, so that's not bad. So one thing that I just noticed is there is like a little kind of extra thing out here. So that's causing like a little bit of friction, I guess you could say, with the smoothness. So you just kind of chop that off of both things if it'll let me. And then, so this is actually like extending past it. It's okay if we're gonna loop it like multiple bars, just because it'll like overlap. But if you go up here, just to the first four, and then like control, select, and once it turns red, that just like automatically loops it. So it kind of like solves that problem. If you just want to really kind of focus in on like a certain part of the composition. Alright, so I have no guarantee this is actually going to work well, but just by listening you can kind of come up with ideas. So this is the part of the instrumental I want to add to the song. And I don't even know if this will come across on like the audio, but there's this little part right here, there's a little gap, it kind of like bumps twice, is the best way I can describe it. And then, so I kind of like section it off, especially when I'm like sampling. There's like, this is the first part of the sample, then the second part, like right there, and then the third part, and then the fourth part if you want to say it, but this is the first part. So that's the first part. That's the second part, kind of, I don't know. I don't think that's actually going to work anymore. I think what we're going to do is just kind of like loop the first part and then add the second part, just kind of similar to what we did with the bass, just because I'm lazy. So what the zero crossing did, what this did earlier, is it just cleans up the the chop of it. So if you snap to grid, then it just cuts along these lines. But if you snap to zero crossing, I forget exactly what it is, but it's like it snaps to the point like in between when the audio like frequency kind of like changes almost. That's not right at all, but just think of it like that. Like it cleans up your cuts. So if you see right here, like I have it snapped to zero crossing, but there's like this little extra kind of sound from the previous note right there. So at the very start, you'll hear something different. So we need to come in. Maybe it's there. Maybe it'll be another one. Yeah, that sounded fine. Another one, I think it's actually going to be right there when it actually like changes. Maybe even on a fucking another one. What the hell? That's pretty good. That's it. So you see how we kind of like got all that extra stuff off of it to get like the actual like note we want. Okay, so now that we got our little section, this is where the make unique comes in. So you go up here, make unique a sample. Shut up. What? That's not how it should work. That's whatever. That might be new. I don't know. So now this allows you to see like the actual sample that you just like chopped out. And now you can go into the audio editor and kind of do the same thing, but it's just always there. So this is that middle part right here that I was kind of interested in. That sounds like shit. That doesn't sound like shit. Let's see. I don't know. I'm just gonna fuck around with it. Let's go back here, and then the first part. That's sure. That's a part. And the second part. It's kind of a little farther. But you can see there's kind of like sections like the sound like changes, like it's thicker up here, pause, and then like a little thinner right here, and then another sound comes in, so it comes here, and then it dips, and then there's that little bump right there. So I think it'd be here, and then it kind of extends. That's pretty good. I kind of like this. This kind of sounds like some Griselda shit if we just loop this. Oh, and you can actually loop it right here with the infinity. Maybe not. Alright, so an important step I forgot, because there's no real perfect... Holy shit, I'm running out of storage. There's no real perfect way to do this. Fuck. What the fuck was I doing? Yeah, but you need to rename these. I'll just make it easier, so this is part 1. And that way it like really just simplifies like your mind and the visual. So it doesn't even have to be like the order it came from. You just have to like, or at least for me, I just like to differentiate them just like really simply. Like you can name it, you can name them human names if you really want to. I don't know. But so you go in here, and then that's 1. There's our sound. You're gonna want to change it to stretch. And then you go these settings, and never mind, that's a different type of sample. Scratch that. Okay, so now we're at 1 right here, and if you right click and go to what's called the piano roll, so this, everything is set to C. It's not actually playing the note C. If you want, I can show you how to see like the actual notes that are being played in the song. We can do that later. But if you just go up, that's pretty cool. Shit. So if we just put each of these higher pitched ones, that sounds interesting at least. And then we're gonna want to bring it to the mixer as well, because again, it's really fucking quiet. So we'll just bring it up to the third. If you bring it to the 2, like it's gonna have that equalizer and the volume like lower. Now that's up at 3. What the fuck? Let's turn it up. And then I don't know. I'm not very good at like all these like plugins and stuff. This is something you should kind of look into. But Sound Godizer makes things louder. And then you should probably also throw reverb on everything, just because, why not? And then let's see how it sounds. Oh yeah, so we're in the pattern right here, so it's only playing here, and because I was putting that in the pattern, this is all that's playing. If I went to the song right now, all 3 of these things would come in. So, right click, and then get rid of them. And then let's go to the song. That sounds like shit. So if I was gonna make a beat, this is the idea, and I just kind of go from here. And so to get these actual sounds, like you don't even need to do all this. Just in the general ones, where am I? So if you like scroll down to like packs, drums, it has all these like already. This is just an interesting way. This is just a fun way to do it. Because these all sound like shit, if I'm being honest. Like shut the fuck up. But there's also stuff like this when you go to plugins and like generators. This is my favorite. It's called Flex, just because it has a lot of instruments. A lot of the instruments sound like shit, but I mean it's just a lot of shit that you can do, which is just a lot, very interesting. So I just mess around with that. All right, whatever.